there to share the wealth in that regard.
Boston was pushed out. 7 to shoot. Boston methodical. On her take. After they had fallen behind by 6 in the quarter, then Sydney Colson, as Aliyah Boston has an extended conversation with the officials, and then is gonna get over to Angel Gray. Angel?
Aliyah Boston didn't just walk off the court, she stormed off, visibly furious. Kelsey Mitchell had just carried the offense on her back, dropping 24 points while being forced into a role she's never supposed to play. Indiana had clawed back from 17 down without Caitlinclark, Sydney Colson, or Aari McDonald. Even with their entire point guard depth wiped out, the Fever had the game in their hands. And then in the final seconds, it slipped away. A rushed shot, a timeout not called, and a string of questionable whistles that the coach herself would blast afterward. Boston's post-game words? Short, blunt, and cutting straight to the point. We'll get to that, but first you need to see the bigger picture of how this game spiraled. Comment down below what you think was this stolen from Indiana. Let's dive in.
7-0 Indiana run. They're within 2 and a foul. This time, Deckers does get the call.
I thought this might have been an offensive foul. Howard for the finish.
Indiana's considering challenging this call, but they will not, as Deckers gets free.
When your whole point guard rotation disappears in a single week, that's not just bad luck, that's devastation. And that's exactly what Indiana lived through. In one brutal night against Phoenix, their foundation cracked. Sydney Colson, the veteran floor general who brought calm under pressure, tore her ACL. Aari McDonald, the speedster who could change a game with one burst of acceleration, fractured a bone in her foot. Both injuries, season-ending. Just like that, 2 leaders, gone. Pile that on top of Caitlinclark, who had already been sidelined since July with a lingering groin injury, and suddenly the Fever found themselves staring at the impossible. A roster without its top 3 ball handlers, the very players the system was built around. Think about the domino effect. No one left to dictate tempo. No one to control pace when opponents started pressing full court. No one to calm the chaos, settle the half court, and put teammates in the right spots. Every set that had been rehearsed, every play drawn up to flow through a guard, had no true quarterback to run it. It was like taking the steering wheel off a moving car and telling the passengers to figure it out. The wheels were still spinning, the engine was still running, but the control gone. And the Fever had no choice but to keep driving anyway.
What's the reaction been from you guys, the players, the coaches, to losing Sid and Aari?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, just brokenhearted for them. They're 2 really good people that you hate to see this happen to. They've been an integral part of what we've been doing, and so hate it for them. Unfortunately, it's part of the deal, and we've got to roll with it. And we've got players in that locker room who believe in one another, players in that locker room who are as competitive as all get out. We've got versatility, and it's going to have to be on full display. So I think now it's about playing to honor them.
The impact was immediate and brutal. Indiana suddenly looked like a team searching for answers on the fly. Sets that normally flowed with precision broke down into hesitation. Traps they used to slice through turned into giveaways. Even the simplest passes, the ones every guard makes in their sleep, became rushed, panicked scrambles. Dallas saw blood in the water and didn't hesitate. Every mistake Indiana made became fuel for their run. 17 turnovers. 27 points scored directly off those giveaways. To put that into perspective, that's more than a quarter of Dallas's entire offensive output before the Fever could even set up a real possession. It wasn't just the numbers, though. You could feel the difference with every trip down the floor. Each possession demanded twice as much effort just to get the ball across half court. The offense wasn't starting until 10 seconds were already gone from the shot clock. By then, the spacing was broken, the rhythm shattered, and every look was harder than it should have been. Every pass felt like threading a needle. Every dribble felt like walking a tightrope, and every single mistake gave Dallas another chance to run. The margin for error? Completely gone. One slip, one lazy pass, One moment of hesitation and the Wings were off to the races, cashing it in for easy buckets the other way. What should have been a back-and-forth battle quickly turned into a survival test. For Indiana, it wasn't just about trying to win the game anymore. It was about trying to keep the wheels from falling off entirely.
It's never fun to lose. I thought we got a pretty good look out of it. But again, I think, we shouldn't have been in that position to begin with. The 17 turnovers got us there. So yeah, we shouldn't have even been there. But I thought, Kelsey got a look at it. It's unfortunate, but yeah, on to the next.
To even field a rotation, the front office had no choice but to make an emergency move. They signed veteran guard Odyssey Sims to a hardship contract, a short-term lifeline to keep the roster from collapsing completely. But let's be honest, what can a player really do with less than 24 hours to learn the playbook, meet her teammates, and adjust to a system she's never run before? Thrown straight into the fire against Dallas, Sims was tasked with stepping into the toughest role on the court, handling the ball for a team missing its entire point guard depth. And it showed. She logged 13 minutes, but finished scoreless, with 2 assists, 1 turnover, and several possessions where she looked more like she was studying her teammates' tendencies than attacking instinctively. That's not a knock on her. It's the reality of being parachuted into a live WNBA game with no chemistry, no rhythm, and almost no time to prepare. Basketball isn't just about talent. It's about trust, timing, and knowing exactly where the next pass is supposed to go before the defender reacts. Sims simply hadn't had the reps yet. Instead of flowing with the offense, she was forced to process on the fly. And in a game this fast, even a half second of hesitation is enough to kill a possession. Her debut wasn't about putting up numbers, it was about survival, about giving Indiana just enough minutes of ball handling relief so Kelsey Mitchell wouldn't completely run out of gas. And while the box score says she struggled, the bigger story is how desperate the Fever were that they needed her in that spot in the first place.
Just excited. I know that Indiana is a great organization, and just to be a part of it and just to be here with the great players that I'm going to be playing with, this is a great opportunity. I'm just happy to be here.
What's the most important thing for you in a situation like this to just get acclimated, just to kind of get your feet under you and feel your way around the new spot here?
It's not my first time just coming to a new team and coming in and just being me. The biggest thing is just doing what I do best. Playing defense, playing hard, doing whatever the team needs. Obviously, I know they've been down with the injuries. Prayers up for Sid and Ari. Love them both. But like I said, I'm excited to be here, and I'm not going to do too much. But whatever coach tells me to do is what I'm going to do and have fun and enjoy my teammates.
So Indiana turned to their only real option, shift Kelsey Mitchell, their deadliest scorer, into the role of floor general. This wasn't some small tweak. This was taking the one player who's built her career on getting buckets in rhythm and asking her to become the team's full-time organizer. Normally, Mitchell is the one curling off screens, catching the ball with her feet set, and attacking before the defense has time to react. She thrives in chaos because someone else is creating the structure. But with no Clark, no Coulson, and no McDonald, there was no one left to provide that structure. Suddenly, it was on her to dribble the ball up against full court pressure, call out the sets, direct traffic, and still deliver as the primary scorer. Think about the burden here. Every single inbound pass had to find her. Every possession started in her hands. Every whistle, every defensive trap, every bit of pressure was targeted straight at her because Dallas knew exactly what Indiana had left. There was no mystery, no plan B. If Mitchell couldn't handle the load, the whole thing collapsed. This wasn't just an adjustment. It wasn't a strategic wrinkle that the coaching staff drew up on the whiteboard. This was pure survival mode, forcing a star scorer into an unnatural role just to keep the offense breathing. And the weight of that showed immediately. Mitchell wasn't just tasked with putting points on the board. She had to protect the ball from steals, break traps when 2 defenders collapsed on her, and keep her teammates engaged by finding them in rhythm, all while knowing she'd still be the one expected to take the biggest shots down the stretch. For a player who has built her reputation on speed, scoring, and killer instinct, it was like asking a sprinter to suddenly run a marathon. Every trip down the floor tested her endurance, her focus, and her leadership. And yet she didn't run from it. She embraced it. And
playmate, as she showed in the last game, but it's not like her most natural way of playing, I would say. Do you have to tell her to focus on that? Does she just kind of know that as the primary ball handler of these games, she'll do it? How does that kind of process work when it's not a true point guard at the one?
Yeah, I mean, I want her to just do what she's been doing. You know, she's been excellent all year long. She's been efficient all year long. Her decision-making has been on point all year long.
And that survival mode was on full display. Every basket was a grind, every turnover a gut punch. Yet Indiana stayed alive because Mitchell simply refused to fold. Her box score reads, well, 24 points, 7 of 15 shooting, 4 threes, 6 boards. But look deeper. Every point came while navigating traps, double teams, and defensive schemes designed to drain her legs.
Every single playoff game will be on our networks. As Mitchell finally gets a look, her first points of the second half. Curl it in, doesn't get the whistle. Indiana with numbers the other way. Mitchell in the corner, cutting. Big game from Aisha Hines-Allen off the bench. Mitchell sprints into the lane, finds Cunningham. She got it on a 3, and it's a single-digit deficit.
The strain was impossible to hide. She coughed up a few turnovers, got caught forcing a couple of looks, and even had possessions where Dallas's pressure seemed to squeeze the life out of the offense. But every time it looked like fatigue or frustration might crack her, she fired back. In the fourth quarter, down double digits, Mitchell stepped into a shot that most players wouldn't even attempt. A bomb from several feet behind the arc. Swish. And she didn't just jog back on defense. She barked at her teammates, demanding focus, demanding stops, demanding belief. That's what leaders do when the season feels like it's hanging by a thread. Moments later, she showed the other side of her game. Running the pick and roll with Aliyah Boston, she froze the defense with her dribble, then threaded a pass so sharp and precise, it split 2 defenders right into Boston's hands for an easy bucket. That single possession summed up her night, carrying the scoring load while still finding the presence of mind to elevate everyone else. This was more than points on the board. It was resilience, it was responsibility, it was leadership under fire. Mitchell wasn't just trying to win a game, she was trying to keep her team's season from unraveling. And for nearly 40 minutes, she did exactly that. But here's the truth. This isn't sustainable. Asking one player to be both the engine and the finisher makes the offense predictable. Dallas knew it, and when they slowed Mitchell, Indiana stalled. Still, she maxed out everything she had. For outsiders, it's just numbers. For the Fever, it was a performance of sheer willpower to keep them alive when the deck was stacked against them. That's why fans are split-gutted by the loss, but proud of the heart Mitchell poured out.
Mitchell trying to create with 5 to shoot. Mitchell through the lane, able to scoop it in, and it's a 1-point game. Indiana ball down 1.7 to go. Cunningham has to get it in. Mitchell in the corner, can't hit, and Dallas hangs on. 81-80 the final as the Wings win a thriller in Indy.
She wasn't alone, though. Others rose to meet the moment. Sophie Cunningham gave 14 points, 5 of 10 shooting, and her trademark edge diving on the floor, chirping at officials, firing up her team. She later apologized for going at the refs, but the fire she brought was contagious. Chloe Beebe, 11 points in just 12 minutes, 3 threes, each one a dagger, including one that forced Dallas into a timeout they didn't want to call. That's a spark plug performance. Natasha Howard, 12 points, 12 boards, 3 blocks. The anchor inside, erasing Dallas layups and forcing the Wings to work for everything in the paint. Boston? She battled through constant contact for 14 bruising points in the post. Every touch was a war, but she gave Indiana a physical presence that kept Dallas from breaking it open.
I wanted us to outlet and attack in transition. When it got to the point where we didn't attack and we just started dribbling sideways, I probably should have used it at the 3-second mark instead of a little bit later. I thought Kels might have had a baseline drive, that she ended up coming back to the middle, and so I didn't like that. But I did want us to push in transition with a low clock and limited opportunity.
And Lexi Hull's box score won't wow you. but her defensive grind mattered. She chased Bukers, contested every look, disrupted passing lanes. She didn't score, but she stole rhythm from Dallas's star guard. This was the definition of a team effort. Outscored by double digits earlier, Indiana came storming back, flipping the fourth quarter 25-4. Against all odds, they gave themselves a chance to win. That's why the ending hit so hard.
It back for to shoot. Cunningham into the corner. Bibby again. Chloe Bibby breathing life into Indiana. A 19-0 Dallas run. Bibby buries the three, just like in the first half when...
The comeback should have been the story. Indiana had clawed their way back into control of the game despite missing their entire point guard rotation. They had taken every punch Dallas threw, answered it, and set themselves up to win. That's the part fans wanted to celebrate. Instead, the spotlight shifted to the final possession, the one sequence that decided everything. With 11.7 seconds left, the Fever came up with the rebound, trailing by a single point. They had one timeout left. The safety net every coach saves for exactly this moment. The crowd expected the whistle. The players looked for direction, but it never came. Stephanie White let it play out. Kelsey Mitchell, who had already carried the team on her back for 4 quarters, pushed the ball into the front court. But the Wings defense was ready. With no drawn-up set, no screen action, no misdirection, it was Mitchell against a wall of defenders. She pulled up for a tough contested jumper. Missed. Dallas secured the rebound. Only then, with 1.7 seconds left and no real chance to create anything, did White call timeout. By that point, the damage was done. After the game, she didn't hide from it. She admitted, "I probably should have called it at the 3-second mark." Honest, but honesty doesn't change outcomes. That one moment of hesitation was the difference between Indiana walking out with a season-defining road win and leaving with another what if. For a team this shorthanded, this desperate to prove themselves, that split second will haunt. Because sometimes a season isn't lost in 40 minutes. It's lost in 11.7 seconds. And if that wasn't enough, the officiating piled on. Boston fought for position, got her arm clamped, and somehow she was whistled for the foul. The review upheld it. Even broadcaster Rebecca Lobo said she expected the call to be overturned. Later, Cunningham got flagged for a flagrant closeout. Earlier in the same game, Bukers had committed a nearly identical foul, also a flagrant. Then Mitchell took the same type of contact on a jumper, nothing. The inconsistency wasn't just bad optics. It shifted momentum, free throws, and possessions. Afterward, White didn't hold back. Kelsey gets grabbed on every possession and never gets a call. And Aaliyah? She's the worst officiated post player in the league. That's not just frustration. That's months of built-up anger spilling out. You could feel the emotions boil. Cunningham swearing after being shoved. Clark clapping sarcastically at referee Amy Bonner from the sideline. Boston stepping between White and an official in the middle of a heated exchange. And Boston's words afterward? Just 4 of them. We need better focus. Simple. Loaded. A message to her team and a statement about the chaos around them. And here's what makes it worse. This wasn't a powerhouse opponent. Dallas is bottom 3 in the standings, more concerned with draft lottery than playoff runs. Indiana needed this win to secure playoff positioning. Instead, they dropped to 6th. The postseason race? Now razor thin. Some fans want White gone after this, but remember, she steered a roster gutted by injuries to a winning record. The Fever themselves keep praising her for holding things together. Whether this loss becomes a rallying cry or a breaking point depends on what comes next. The truth is clear. Indiana can fight with anyone, but late-game execution and inconsistent officiating robbed them of a winnable game. At 18-15, every remaining matchup carries playoff-level weight. So, what's your take? Should White have called that timeout earlier? Did the refs cross the line, or was this just the perfect storm of bad timing and brutal luck? Caitlinclark is still rehabbing, but she's expected back in a couple weeks. And when she returns, Indiana will finally get their steering wheel back. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss what's coming. Click the video on screen, and we'll see you in the next one.